So today's video, we're going to be talking about creating the correct hand speed in your golf swing. So I talk a lot in my videos about how I want the body to be dominating. Now that does not mean there is not hands. The hands are a huge influence over the amount of power we can generate in our golf swing. But like anything, there is a correct and a wrong way to do this. So where does our speed really come from when we're utilizing and using our hands? A big power source is the down cocking of our wrists. So our wrists will be cocking up and they'll be cocking down in the downswing. Now that generates a huge amount of speed. Just listen to this. You know, from a half move, if you create that 90-degree angle in your lead arm and club shaft, and you just aim to let it go and return in a position at about halfway through where again we got the 90-degree post impact, you can hear the amount of energy that's going to start to generate. So we can really utilize some speed from down cocking our wrist correctly. Another big power source is making the wrist go from flexion to extension. So flexion would be my wrist more at this angle in the downswing, and it has to move this way through the golf swing. But many golfers are in this cupped position on the downswing. The official term would be their wrist is an extension, and they're not utilizing that power source because they've got nowhere to go with it. So if we can actually on the downswing feel like our glove logo points more behind us, now we're in such a position we can actually start to utilize this power source, the wrist going from flexion to extension through that movement. Whereas in the downswing, if I get the glove logo more pointing towards me, I can't utilize that power source through impact. So there is some hand speed created there. There's also hand speed created from this movement. This is a really important movement with all golf clubs, but our handle should be rising into impact. So the lowest point of our handle should be before we hit the golf ball here at P6. And the handle should be rising through impact. And a lot of golfers disagree with that, especially with irons, and they go, well, you're going to top it from there. You're not, because remember, your wrist is down cocking. So the club is moving downward, even though the handle is moving upwards into impact. So big power source. I'm just going to demonstrate that with a small movement first. So I'm just going to try and do it from a little quarter swing here, where I've got the wrist a little bit more in flexion, so I can start to utilize that speed as well. So it's going to go from flexion to extension, but I'm going to focus on this handle rising into impact. And you'll see, although my hands are rising, the club is still moving in a downward path. So, little quarter move here, handle is moving up, yet the club head is moving down. Now with an iron, because the ball is positioned a little bit further back, that downward movement, down cocking our wrist, means the club is traveling downward into the golf ball, so a negative angle of attack. Whereas with a driver, because we've got the ball more forwards, our lowest point of our swing is happening behind the golf ball and the club is actually rising, but the low point is down here somewhere. Where I don't want you, or the wrong way of using your hands in the golf swing, would be just really almost a lot of rotation here. Now there is rotation, there is sort of forearm rotation in the golf swing, but I don't want this to be our power source. I really want it to be the down cocking of our wrists, our handle rising, and that flexion to extension movement. I don't want to see a lot of this in the golf swing, because you can see there how hard it would be, although I can generate some speed doing that, how hard it would be to square the club face. A lot of golfers feel like they have to rely on that because they've got that club face open, because they've got that wrist in extension. They're having to use a lot of this through impact. And we can generate some speed from there. But when I'm having to use a lot of hands in this way, my body ends up stalling, slowing down. So often in my video, I'm talking about dominating with my body. And that's because I want this to be the real engine of that movement. My body is still rotating. It's not hands on their own. Let's see if I can hit one more full shot. I know I mentioned a few power sources there, but the key parts, one is going to be down cocking of wrists. And I just want you to do that little drill halfway back to halfway through. The second power source with our hands is going to be that movement from flexion to extension. So how I want you to focus on that is in the downswing when you're doing some slow rehearsals, really getting that glove logo pointing more behind you. Now we've got that speed we can start to utilize this way into impact. And I will put a link just here talking more about the wrist angles, going more into detail about the wrists in the downswing there with that topic in mind. And the third power source I want you to think about with the hands is the handle actually rising into impact. Now, I'm not suggesting on a full shot I'm going to really be focusing on all of this on the course, but with my drills, with my exercises, with my practice swings, definitely. So, if you're looking for more speed in the golf swing, and who isn't, let's focus a little bit on what the hands are doing through the movement. Definitely start practicing this way, utilizing those hands correctly, and it's going to make your golf a ton more fun.